In the early 400s BCE, Greeks did not only live in Greece. Many settled across southern Italy in fresh-built city-states that copied Greek laws, temples, and public life. But something else travelled with them, a habit of arguing in the open. Old stories about gods still existed, yet they no longer ended the discussion. People wanted reasons. They asked what the world was made of and what counted as true. These colonies became crossroads. Traders brought news, craftsmen brought practical knowledge, and educated migrants brought competing ideas from different Greek regions. In that mix, a new kind of competition took hold, not only for land or status, but for the best explanation. Claiming something was real started to require proof, not tradition. When someone said the senses showed one thing, another person demanded a tighter argument that could not be shaken. So the big question changed shape. It stopped being about which god caused an event and became about what existence itself meant. Could a thing truly come to be or pass away? Could many things be real or only one? These were not private puzzles. They mattered in public, where confidence and logic carried weight. In southern Italy, debating reality turned into a serious civic pursuit, and it set the stage for extreme conclusions. Parmenides of Eleatic stepped into this new culture of argument with a claim that sounded almost impossible. He said reality did not behave the way people assumed, not even close. For him, the deepest truth was not a world full of things, events, and surprises. It was being itself, one single, solid fact. If something truly was, it could not wobble in and out, start or stop, or break into parts. He pushed the idea hard with simple pressure. Change required something to become what it was not. But what is not he treated as nothing at all, and nothing could not produce anything. So becoming made no sense. Birth, decay, motion, difference, even empty space, all collapsed under that rule. The senses still reported constant shifting, of course. Parmenides did not deny the report. He just labelled it unreliable. That split created a new battlefield, reason versus appearance. Parmenides described everyday life as a kind of persuasive story humans told themselves, built from habit and perception. He called it opinion, and he treated it as a trap. The only safe path, he argued, followed strict thinking to a single conclusion. Reality stayed one, whole and unmoving. Everything else, the many things people counted and the changes they felt, belonged to the world as it merely seemed. Zeno stepped in as Parmenides' fiercest defender, and he attacked the obvious. People trusted their senses. They walked, they watched arrows fly, they counted separate things. Zeno treated that trust as the target. He built arguments that began with everyday motion and ended with a trap. If the world really contained many things, or real movement, reason should explain it cleanly. His point was brutal. Ordinary experience seemed to collapse under careful logic. He started with walking across a distance. To reach the end, a person first had to reach halfway, then half of what remained, then half again. The steps never finished because the divisions never ended. The distance seemed to turn into an endless list of smaller tasks, and if completing an endless list was impossible, then arriving anywhere looked impossible too. Motion, so simple a moment ago, now looked like a contradiction hiding in plain sight. Zeno pushed the same pressure onto many things. If a line or an object could always be divided again, then it had to be made of infinitely many parts. But if the parts had no size, they could not add up to any size at all. If they had size, adding infinitely many sizes should make the object endlessly large. Either way, the countable world refused to behave. His paradoxes did not end debate, they forced it. After Parmenides and Zeno, a counterattack took shape. Some thinkers refused to let common experience be dismissed as mere mistake. One of the most famous was Heraclitus, who treated change not as a problem to explain away, but as the basic fact of life. Things did not just move, they became. Stability looked like a trick of the mind, created by how people named and grouped what never stopped shifting. This pushback did not stay in poetry or slogans. Early natural investigators joined in, asking what the world was made of and how it behaved, using observation as their starting point. Fire, air, water, earth. Different answers appeared, but the shared instinct was clear. The senses mattered. The world showed cycles, growth, decay, and motion everywhere. If reasoning declared all that impossible, then maybe the reasoning was too strict or aimed at the wrong target. That set up a sharp new conflict. On one side stood an argument that demanded perfect logical consistency, even if it erased movement, difference, and time. On the other stood a worldview that treated change as unavoidable, even if it made reality harder to pin down in words. Each side exposed the other's weakness. Trust the senses, and certainty slipped away. Trust pure reason, and daily life looked unreal. The debate escalated because neither choice felt livable. Empedocles entered the fight with a bold compromise. He kept the demand for strict reason, but he refused to treat the changing world as mere mistake. He claimed nothing truly came from nothing, and nothing vanished into nothing. What people called birth and death were only reshufflings. Underneath, a few basic ingredients stayed the same. Change appeared, but the fundamentals remained untouchable. He said those ingredients were 4 roots: earth, water, air, and fire. They never turned into each other, they only mixed and separated. 2 forces drove the process. Love pulled the roots together into compounds, and strife tore them apart again. With that, motion and variety stopped being irrational. A tree, a body, a storm, each became a temporary blend. The world changed, but only by recombination. Anaxagoras pushed the rescue mission even further. He argued that one set of elements still looked too simple to explain the richness of life. Instead, he spoke of countless tiny seeds with a bit of everything in everything. What made order emerge was mind new, an independent power that started the swirl and sorted it. The senses still misled, but reason gained a new tool, a guiding principle that made change intelligible. Then a new answer arrived, and it sounded almost like a rescue plan. Leucippus and Democritus argued that the world did change, but not in the way people thought. Everything, they said, consisted of tiny pieces, atoms so small no one could see them. These atoms moved and collided always, and they moved in something just as important as the atoms themselves: empty space, the void. That single move changed the whole fight. If atoms existed and the void existed, motion stopped being a logical scandal and became the basic fact of nature. Objects were not one solid thing. They were crowds. Different materials came from different shapes and arrangements of atoms, not from magic qualities. Things seemed to begin and end, but only because atoms joined up, then split apart and formed new clusters elsewhere. And this was where illusion got a new meaning. Democritus treated colour, taste, and warmth as effects in the body, not properties sitting out in the world by themselves. The atoms caused those feelings, but the feelings did not match the atom's real features. Reality ran on size, shape, position, and motion, silent and unseen. People trusted the surface, and the surface misled them, not by lying, but by simplifying. In Athens, the fight over reality took a sharp turn. People still argued about what existed, but now the pressure came from the city itself, courts, assemblies, rival voices. Into that world came the sophists, professional teachers who promised a practical skill, winning with words. They treated truth less like a hidden cosmic structure and more like something that got decided in public. For them, the key question was not what the universe was made of, but how humans experienced it. One person felt wronged, another saw fair punishment. The same event produced different realities. The sophists pushed that point hard. What seemed true depended on where you stood, what you noticed, and which description carried the day. Reality started to look negotiable. Language became the battlefield. If words shaped judgment, then changing the words changed what counted as real in the moment. A clever argument could make the weaker case look stronger, not by discovering new facts, but by reframing what everyone thought they already knew. The consequence was unsettling. If persuasion ruled, certainty weakened, and truth started to feel like a human product. Plato answered the growing chaos in Athens with a hard split. He treated everyday experience as something that looked real but did not deserve full trust. Sights, sounds, and crowds changed too fast. Opinions followed them, so he pointed to a different kind of reality, stable and exact, that the mind could grasp even when the senses disagreed. That separation changed the terms of the fight. He called these deeper realities forms. A form did not mean a shape you touched. It meant the perfect what it was of a thing. What justice itself was, what equality itself was, what a triangle truly was. The world people saw every day only copied these forms, badly and inconsistently. The copy could fool you, and once it fooled you, it steered your choices. Plato pushed the point with a blunt image. Life in the senses worked like shadows, mistaken for the real objects that cast them. Education, then, stopped being simple training. It became a rescue from confusion. Politics followed the same logic. If leaders trusted shadows, they ruled by slogans and shifting moods. If they learned to aim at forms, they chased what stayed true, even when appearances changed. Aristotle stepped into a debate that had trapped Greek thought for generations. If change looked real, but logic seemed to forbid it, then what did reality rest on? He refused the easy escape of calling ordinary life a trick. Instead, he said the basic units of reality had been the things right in front of us. Individual substances, a horse, a tree, a person. Not shadows of something else, but real enough to be studied. From there, he asked a practical question. What made a thing the kind of thing it was? His answer relied on causes, not as a single push, but as a full account. What something was made of, what shape or pattern organized it, what started the change, and what the change aimed at. With that checklist, growth, decay, and motion stopped looking like contradictions. They became events that could be explained step by step. But Aristotle also tightened the rules of thinking itself. He treated logic as a tool that kept explanations from sliding into confusion. A thing could not both be and not be in the same respect. Words had to track stable features in the world, or argument became noise. With substances, causes, and these basic principles, he offered a compromise with teeth. The world changed, and reason still held. Everyday reality stayed on the table.